Okay. Manda. Okay. Manda said, I feel like the V is the mark. Okay. Well, my friend Manda, that is a really common feeling. I've had a lot of questions come in about this case, and I have to say it's definitely a tricky one, um, as far as understanding what the mark is and what it is not. And so let's go ahead and look at the book of Revelation, and let's look and see what the mark actually is. And again, I apologize because I'm having some technical difficulties again tonight. Here you go. Let's go to the verse, chapter, or Revelation chapter 15 and verse 7. And because this is a verse that I get a lot of, as far as wondering if this is indeed the mark, or the mark of the beast. Revelation chapter 15, verse 7. And it reads, then one of the four living creatures gave the seven angels seven golden bowls full of the wrath of God, who lives forever and ever. Now, where it says bowls is because, as a word in the King James Version, that means vials. And a lot of people have said, oh, these vials are, a vaccination vial, but really the word is bowl. So it's not, it's not, a vial like we think of today. It would be a big round bowl. And these were not, the mark of the beast. These were the vials that held the seven last plagues. And if you look at those seven last plagues, they were definitely not, it's talking about the sun scorching people and things like that. It has nothing to do with anything medically based. Now, as far as, again, looking at the Bible as to, what is the mark, go to Revelation chapter 13 and verse 15. And I think it's pretty clear as to what the mark of the beast actually is. And so if you look at that verse, it reads, so I'm trying to pull everything up. It's a little bit tricky. I wish my friends Jane, Wendy were here. I miss them. Usually I have a minute to look things up. So Jane, Wendy, wherever you are, we miss you. All right. In Revelation 13:15, it says, he was granted power, this beast was granted power to give breath to the image of the beast. So the second beast, excuse me, the lamb-like beast, was granted power to give breath into the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast to be killed. So the key word here, as far as what this image is it's an issue of worship. It's causing them to worship the image of the beast. Now, as far as, a medical vaccine, there's nothing worship based about it. I think that this sort of thing happens every time something kind of big in the news comes up, like Y2K. Back when I remember when I was a kid and Y2K came up, they were like, it's the end of the world. I remember there was a big, back in the 70s, my mom telling me there was a big computer called the Beast, and they thought this is the Beast, and there's a mark there. Or when barcodes came out for groceries, people were saying that's the mark of the beast. You're gonna put a barcode on your forehead or your hand. And obviously we don't see that happening. That's been 30 plus something, I don't even know how many years, probably as long as I've been alive. So there's a lot of things that come up in the news that are very scary, or just or big news. And so it's very easy to tie them quickly into Bible prophecy. And you kind of have to be careful of that, because the prophecy of Revelation 13, as far as this image, it's an image to the beast, and it says in this beast, his name, is 666. And I just don't see that happening in the medical world as much. I think that, again, this is an issue of worship. And because it's an issue of worship, I can't help but really tie this to the book of Daniel, because I believe the prophecies of Daniel and Revelation are very clearly connected. And when you look in the story of Daniel chapter 3, here you see an image set up in the plain of Dura, and we see these three faithful young men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and they were called with all the leaders of the then known world to this image, and they were supposed to bow down and worship. Again, it's an issue of worship. And what's interesting, if you ever want to do a little side Bible study, is if you look at there's instruments mentioned, and there's 6 instruments mentioned, and there's only 3 times that only all 6 instruments are mentioned. Which is kind of interesting. I feel like it's got the Bible's definitely plugging it forward, saying that there is going to be a time where there's going to be forced worship of something, and it's going to be the time of 666. And so this image, obviously, this was them having to bow down and worship, and music was instrumental in this aspect. And we see that there's 3 men who, obviously stood for it. It was very clear that they, stood out because they were not bowing down and worshiping to this false image. And do I think that it's going to be necessarily a physical, image, a statue like Daniel 3? Maybe, maybe not. But it's definitely going to be an issue of worship as far as a spiritual, religious thing, not a medical thing, a religious thing. And so I know it's kind of scary to think about all these things going on in our world. I definitely think we need to be praying about, our walk with God, and being ready for, things that we're not deceived, we're not following, any way but God's way. But I don't think that this medical situation is equivalent to the the mark of the beast mentioned in Revelation 13. So I hope that puts your mind at ease a little bit. But again, continue to study God's word, continue to follow God, and to get to know God as your best friend, so that you'll know what to do, and you'll know the prophecies of the Bible, and know what is coming into play.